Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, where we peel back the layers of corporate filings to reveal the juicy details, or perhaps not so juicy. Let's just say this latest report from APOGee. E-Enterprises Incorporated might have investors checking their calendars to see if it is April Fool's Day already, but we're here to decode it. So on the 9th of October of 2025, APOGee Enterprises, which is a company you might know for making things like glass and office furniture, put out an announcement about their financial results for the second quarter of their fiscal year 2026. Now typically when a company releases this kind of news, you expect some fireworks, maybe a price surge or a shake-up, but for APOGE Enterprises, this particular announcement and filing are more about setting the stage for what is to come. It is kind of like getting a weather report before a big storm. It tells you what is brewing. Let's look at the basics. The company is incorporated in Minnesota and it trades on the NASDAQ stock market under the ticker symbol APOG. They are not exactly a new kid on the block, so we expect them to have a clear strategy and performance consistent with their size and market position. Their main office is in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and the phone number is 952-835-1874. Not that we need to call them today, but it is good to know where they rebased. Now onto the meat of the filing, which is all about their performance, but before we dive into the numbers, let's give you a quick heads up if you find value in these corporate breakdowns. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel and join our Discord community. Linked in the description below, it is a great place to discuss these insights and connect with other savvy investors. This section is all about how the company actually did in business. It is where they lay out their earnings and their financial health. For the most recent period, they announced their results. For the second quarter of fiscal year 2026, on the 9th of October 2025. What is interesting here is that this Form 8K is essentially a notice that a press release was issued, and that press release is attached as an exhibit. This means the actual juicy details, the numbers and the commentary are in that press release, which is exhibit 99.1. So we need to look at that press release to get the real story on their financial results. While this Form 8K is a formal document announcing the news, it acts as a gateway to the fuller financial report which is contained within the attached exhibit. This is pretty standard practice for companies when they are announcing their quarterly or annual earnings. Now usually in these situations, there are specific financial tables to dissect, but this particular filing is more of a placeholder announcing that the details are in the press release. It tells us they released their financial results, but it doesn't give us the numbers directly in this document. Instead, we are pointed to Exhibit 99.1 for the detailed breakdown. Let us imagine what that press release might say based on what we know about earnings. Ings reports companies usually talk about their total revenue, their net income, and earnings. Per share or EPs, these are the headline numbers that investors watch closely. If revenue is up, that is generally good, meaning they are selling more products or services. But we also need to look at the profit margins. Are they making more money on what they sell, or are costs eating into their profits? Then there is the earnings. Per share or EPs, this tells you how much profit is attributed to each share of stock. A higher EPs usually means the company is more profitable for its shareholders. When you see percentage changes in these key figures, you need to think about what that means in the real world. For instance, if revenue has a small increase but costs have increased significantly, that can actually be a negative sign for the company. As health, it means they are working harder to make less relative profit. It is crucial to compare these numbers to previous periods like the same quarter last year, and also to what analysts were expecting if APOGee Enterprises beats expectations. That is a positive signal. If they miss those expectations, investors might get nervous, and the stock price could drop. We also need to consider the context. There are any economic factors that might be impacting their sales, like inflation or a slowdown in consumer spending, or is the company facing new competition that is affecting their market share? The business strategy mentioned in their press release will also be key. How are they planning to grow in the future? Are they investing in new products or expanding into new markets? This mention of an interactive data file with a cover page typically means the full financial data is available in a machine-readable format. This is a good sign for transparency and allows for easier analysis if you were to dig deeper than just the press release summary. Now, as we look at the signatures, we see Matthew J. Osberg, an Executive Vice President and Chief Financial Officer, signing off on this report. This is the person at the company who is ultimately responsible for its financial reporting. So their signature carries weight. It confirms that the information provided is accurate to the best of their knowledge looking at the overall picture of this filing. It is more of an announcement structure rather than a detailed financial report within itself. The real substance will be in that press release, Exhibit 99.1. Without those specific numbers, we can only talk about the types of things investors would look for when an earnings report like this is released. So what is my take on this filing? It is a bit of a non-event from its own content. It is like getting an invitation to a party, but the invitation doesn't tell you where or when. The party is it just says a party is happening, and you will get more details later. The true value, the financial meat, and potatoes are in the attached press release. For APOGEE Enterprises, this filing is simply the official step to acknowledge they have released their quarterly results. The strength or weakness of their performance will entirely depend on the specific figures and commentary within that Exhibit 99.1 for. Now this Form 8. K serves its purpose of alerting the public and regulators that an earnings announcement has been made. However, the fact that such a filing exists means the company is operating under the rules and regulations of the Securities Exchange Act, which requires timely disclosure of significant information. This adherence to rules is a fundamental sign of corporate governance. Ultimately, the story here is about timing and disclosure. APOGEE Enterprises is following the process of reporting their financial results. The most important insight will come from dissecting the actual numbers and the narrative a company provides in its earnings release. So keep an eye out for that exhibit. If you want the real story, alright, that is our decoder on this. APOGEE Enterprises filing. What is your take on this announcement style of reporting? Do you prefer companies to embed all the details, or do you find these announcements useful? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below if you found this breakdown helpful. Please give it a thumbs up, it really helps the channel, and subscribe for more dives into the world of corporate finance. And don't forget to join our Discord community linked in the description. Your input and discussion are always welcome. Thanks for watching, and we LL decode another filing soon.